In the last episode of Season 2, we saw Lorett commit a huge betrayal. To save his own skin, he made a deal with the giants. Magna would never touch his hammer again. In return, Lorett would release his serpent giant, the one that grew from a tapeworm, into the water. This massive snake would then fight against Thor alongside the giants. Only by making this deal was Lorett's life spared. This is where Season 3 picks up after a significant time jump. Lorett is living his own separate life. We see Magna, who has grown a beard and completely stopped touching his hammer, just as promised. Saxa's life has been ruined because she was the one who gave Lorett the key to the Judel factories. She's now been branded a traitor and is treated like a servant in her own home. Magna, despite giving up fighting like Thor, hasn't given up the fight against Judel Industries. He's now trying to gather evidence against them to take them down legally. Because of this, the other gods, Iman and Harry, have grown frustrated with him and are no longer willing to help. Meanwhile, we see just how bad Saxa's situation is. Ran is taking great pleasure in her own daughter's, well, not really her daughter, but a fellow giant's, predicament. Saxa's life is now one of a servant, even cleaning their shoes. Fior has completely taken over the company and handles all the business. Magna has started a new kind of war, creating a list of all the people who got sick or died because of their work at Judel Industries. If he can get evidence from even one of them to present in court, Judel Industries could be shut down for good. But no one is willing to testify. They're terrified that the Judels will come after them and kill them. One day, Magna goes to his hammer, Mjolnir. He has a strong urge to pick it up, but because of the promise he made to Lorett, he resists. After this, we're shown a scene where a family, a father and his young children, are by the water feeding ducks. Suddenly, the serpent giant rises from the water and eats one of the ducks. The man is terrified. Trying not to scare his children, he quickly ushers them away. Even though the kids saw the snake eat the duck, their father tries to pretend it never happened and just leaves. We also see Lorett, who regularly visits his child, the tapeworm that is rapidly growing into a massive snake. Later, we see Magna, who is so tormented by the desire to use his hammer that he finally gives in and picks it up. After so long, he uses it, striking a nearby mountain with immense force. The hammer is so powerful that a huge chunk of the mountain breaks off and falls directly onto a major electrical station, causing a power outage across the entire town. Magna comes down to see the aftermath and witnesses firsthand the incredible power of his hammer, seeing the massive boulder that has fallen. Meanwhile, Fior and Rand suspect something. They feel the shift in power and wonder if Magna has picked up his hammer again. Saxa confirms their fears, saying, "It's not just a possibility, it's what happened." Lightning flashed. It's clear that Magna is preparing to fight us. Magna was about to put the hammer back, but just then, Lorett sees him and starts screaming at him. He yells, "Do you have any idea what my life is worth? If you pick that up again, they will kill me. You made me a promise, so why did you break it?" Magna tries to explain that it wasn't intentional. He just wanted to hold it once, but this leads to a nasty fight between Lorett and Magna. They get into a physical brawl. Outside, we see their mom, Turid, getting her wedding gown ready for her marriage to Eric. She shows the gown to her sons. Magna compliments her, but Lorett cruelly insults her. Heartbroken, Turid leaves the room in tears. Magna is also struggling to focus at school. At the same time, his relationship with the girl he's been talking to has grown closer, and they now spend a lot of time together. Magna goes to inspect the damaged transformer and meets a woman there who is working to restore the power. Magna realizes that she is one of the former employees of Judel Industries, but her name wasn't on his list. The woman explains she changed her name and her entire identity and refuses to say anything against the Judels. Magna pleads with her, "Please, I need your help. Just one testimony in court is all it will take to shut down Judel Industries." But the lady refuses to help Magna and walks away. Magna goes straight to Voton for help, but Voton tells him, "Technology won't solve everything for you. Some things can't be found on Google." We see Saxa again, whose situation is worse than ever. Fior constantly berates her because if she hadn't given the key to Lorett wouldn't have given it to Magna, and Magna would never have been able to forge the hammer. Now that the hammer exists, Thor can kill the giants at any moment. And since Vidar's death, Fior is the boss of the house, and he does whatever he wants. He refuses to remove the collar from Saxa's neck and constantly forces her to bow to him. Meanwhile, Magna finds out where the woman from the power station lives. He goes to visit her with Voton. The woman tells them her story. She used to be a foreman at Judel Industries, but then she got cancer. Her whole family, including her wife, abandoned her. Her wife even passed away. After a difficult battle and a lot of medication, she finally beat the cancer. After all that, she decided she wanted nothing to do with the fight against the Judels. She knew if she got involved, she'd be trapped in that mess forever. So she changed her identity and her job, just wanting to be left alone. Magna begs her, "Please, help me. Do you know how many people have died because of them?" As he's leaving, Magna sees a picture of her late wife and says, "She was my friend. She died trying to expose them. My friend's father also worked at Judel Industries, got cancer, and died. This finally gets through to the woman, and she realizes she has to do something. She agrees to help Magna. Over at the Judel mansion, Fior's secretary is suggesting various business courses for him. Since Fior is growing into his leadership role, he needs the education to run such a large company. The secretary mentions that his father, Vidar, had taken all these courses. Saxa overhears this and angrily shatters a glass. The assistant suggests that maybe Saxa should take the courses too, but Fior and Ran immediately shut it down, saying it's not necessary and that only Fior needs the education. Later, we see Magna at home. His mom is sitting there, sewing her gown, while Magna is gathering evidence against Judel Industries on his laptop. Lorett walks in and immediately notices Magna's secretive behavior, how he quickly shuts his laptop and tries to hide what he's doing. He knows Magna is plotting something. Just then, their mom once again shows off her gown, which now fits her perfectly. But once again, Lorett insults her horribly, and Turid runs off crying. Magna confronts him again, saying, "Dude, stop taking your anger out on her. What did mom ever do to you?" Lorett retorts, "How can you talk to me like that? I'll say whatever I want." He's still furious that Magna broke his promise by picking up the hammer. That night, Magna goes to a restaurant to get dinner. It's the same restaurant where the boy Lorett had a crush on works, but that boy broke Lorett's heart by getting with someone else. Meanwhile, Lorett is at home looking for something to eat when Fior ambushes him. He grabs Lorett by the throat and snarls, "We had a deal that Magna wouldn't touch the hammer. Why did you let this happen?" Lorett swears he knew nothing about it and promises Magna won't touch it again. But Lorett is terrified. Fior beat him badly and gave him an ultimatum. He threatens, "If you want to live, you need to understand this. If Magna ever raises that hammer again, you'll be the first to die." The next day, as everyone is leaving for the day, Eric offers the boys a ride, but they both leave on their own. Eric feels like the kids haven't accepted him, but Turid reassures him that things will get better with time. We then see Magna, who has gone to the woman's house to take her to court to give her testimony. But when he gets there, he finds that she's been murdered. Voton and his other friends are there too. The scene is staged to look like an accident. A ladder is set up, a light bulb is broken. It's meant to look like she was changing the bulb, got electrocuted, fell, and died. But Magna remembers she was an expert electrician. She would never die from a simple shock while changing a bulb. He knows this was Fior's work, done because she was about to testify against Judel Industries. Magna is instantly reminded of how his oldest friend, Isolde, was killed, and he decides he will get revenge. This time, it was Fior who broke the deal. Fior had also promised not to kill any more humans. Furious, Magna grabs his hammer and storms into the Judel mansion, demanding to know where everyone is. Saxa watches him from a distance. When Magna bursts in with Mjolnir, Fior and Ran are powerless. The sheer force of the hammer forces them to their knees. Magna, realizing the immense power he now wields, keeps them pinned down. He was about to strike them, but he holds back. He yells, "Fior, you broke the promise. You shouldn't have killed that woman. This was supposed to be between us, but now that you've broken the deal, war is inevitable." Fior tries to argue, but he doesn't have the courage to say anything in front of Magna and the hammer. He knows that with one swing, Magna could wipe them out, as it's an ancient, powerful weapon. Magna smashes a lot of things in their house and then leaves, sparing their lives for the moment. Perhaps he should have finished them then and there, but for some reason, he let them go. Magna returns home and confronts Lorett, who is still yelling at him for breaking his promise. Magna shouts back, "I didn't break it. Fior did. He killed a woman. We were about to file a case against Judel Industries, but he murdered our witness. How long is this going to go on? How long are you going to protect that family? Are you part of my family or theirs?" But Lorett's mind is made up. He says this family means nothing to him anymore, that other family is more important. At that exact moment, Eric and Turid arrive with a surprise. A new nameplate for their house with all their names on it. But it's too late. Lorett has decided to leave. He's moving out. The couple is left wondering what just happened. Over at the Judel house, Saxa is trying to convince her family that she can stop Magna, but first, they need to remove her collar. Fior flatly refuses, telling her to remain a slave. But this time, Ran is serious. She is ready to remove Saxa's collar. Just then, Lorett arrives, acting like he's part of their family. He says, "I've left my old home. I'm a member of your family now, and I want to live here." But the Judels turn on him, screaming, "Your brother came here to kill us, and you think we'll let you stay? You're an illegitimate child. You can't live here." And with that, Lorett is thrown out. He just left one home, and now he's been rejected by the other. He ends up sitting by the river, talking to his child, the serpent giant. He tells the serpent, "You don't have to fight anyone anymore. Not for them and not for the other side. I'm your mama, and I understand you completely. Today, your mama is all alone. Everyone has thrown me out of their homes. You're the only reason I'm still alive." He's essentially talking to his tapeworm, trying to get it on his side, worried that one day it might turn on him. We then see that Magna is starting to live his life, spending time with the girl he likes. Iman is using her powers of manipulation to become a famous model. Harry is using his powers powers to become a skilled fighter. Ran removes the collar from Saxa's neck, which infuriates Fior, but Saxa is finally free. As for Magna, he has decided what he needs to do. Now that he has his hammer, he's not backing down. It's almost as if the power is attracting him. He holds the hammer in his hand, and without even swinging it, he just gives it a slight shake to feel its power. The moment he does, intense lightning cracks across the sky outside. Magna looks on and smiles, realizing the immense power he now holds. Now, Magna has started using the hammer obsessively, almost like a madman. It seems like the hammer has become his entire world, an object he carries with him everywhere. His mom, Turid, comes to him and explains that since her father has passed away, she doesn't have anyone to walk her down the aisle at her wedding. She asks Magna if he would do it, adhering to the Western tradition of a male figure giving the bride away. The scene then shifts to Fior during his daily routine. He goes to a local shop where he always gets free coffee, but this time, just as he's about to walk out, Magna shows up. Carrying his hammer, Magna subtly threatens Fior, telling him to pay the man for the coffee. While Magna's intention might be just his method is pure intimidation. Fior, terrified of the hammer, has no choice but to obey. Simultaneously, we see Lorett, who is now homeless. He's set up a small, makeshift shelter by the water and can tell that his Midgard serpent is incredibly hungry. With no money to feed it, he heads into town to find food, rummaging through garbage bins for scraps. At the school, the principal, Ran, is announcing grades when she brutally humiliates one of the girls in front of the entire class for making a lighthearted joke. Shortly after, Magna goes straight to Rant's office and places the bag containing the hammer on her desk. The silent threat is overwhelming. Magna is no longer a normal person. He's a god with the most powerful hammer in the world. Left with no choice, Ran is forced to agree to apologize to the student she had insulted in class. Over at the cafe, Lorett runs into the boy he used to have a crush on. He asks if things are going well with his boyfriend, and the boy reveals that they broke up. Lorett had lied, claiming he was collecting leftover food for the poor. The boy, feeling sympathetic, tells Lorett he can take whatever he needs from the cafe from now on, without even asking. Back at school, Magna is sitting with a girl named Signy, clearly trying to get closer to her. In the cafeteria, Lorett's desperation is clear as he just walks up to a girl not eating her lunch and takes it from her. Just then, Ran enters the classroom and, in front of everyone, offers a stilted apology to the student she had humiliated, leaving the class in stunned silence. This tense atmosphere is broken by Saxa's grand entrance. As we saw in the last episode, she was being treated like a slave, but now that she's been freed as part of a plan to trap Magna, she's back to her old self, stylish, confident, and turning heads as she walks through the school. The fallout from Magna's actions continues. In his office, Fior, still seething with rage from his encounter with Magna, takes it all out on a new assistant. He grills her, asking, "You work here, so tell me, what does our company even do?" When she can't give the precise response he wants, Fior tears into her. A senior employee has to step in, calm Fior down, and escort the new assistant out. It's obvious the morning's incident has left him deeply shaken. Ran is back at home, having switched to an e-cigarette but clearly still hooked on nicotine. She's visibly terrified, keeping her door locked. When she hears a knock, she jumps and nervously asks who it is before opening. It's Turid, Magna's mom, who was looking for Lorett. Fearing Magna's wrath, Ran quickly adds, "If you see Lorett, tell him to come back. There's plenty of room for him here." She then tries to butter Magna up through his mom, saying, "And if you see Magna, congratulate him on his good grades for me," a desperate attempt to stay on his good side. Later, the family gathers to plan the wedding reception, where Magna starts acting strangely and talking in an unsettling way. Afterwards, he and Signy go up to his room, where they immediately get into an argument. Signy asks him, "Are you afraid of someone? You carry that hammer with you everywhere. Did someone threaten you?" But Magna just yells at her, "I don't have any problems, and don't you ever ask me about this again." Heartbroken, Signy leaves in tears, and Magna immediately picks up his hammer again, completely mesmerized by its power. The scene shifts back to the Judels. Ran tells Saxa and Fior how Magna threatened her at school, and Fior recounts his own story of how Magna forced him to pay for the coffee. They are all panicking. Saxa comes up with a plan. She will seduce Magna. That will be the only time he'll be separated from his hammer, and as soon as he puts it down, they can steal it. Fior hates the idea, but Ran and Saxa see it as their only option for survival. We then see Lorett feeding his Midgard serpent small pieces of bread when Fior suddenly appears, causing the creature to disappear. He yells at Lorett, "Are you crazy? You're feeding a serpent giant bread and butter." Fior demands that he teach his child its true purpose purpose. He isn't some ordinary pet. He needs to fight for the giants. He needs to eat humans. That's why he was created. Though Lorett is against it, under Fior's intimidating presence, he reluctantly agrees. Back with Magna, his mom comes in after Signy left crying. Magna just denies anything happened. Turid then shows him a coat for the wedding. It belonged to her late husband, but it's old, worn out, and even has a tear in it. Magna says they should just get a new one, but his mom tells him, "Son, I don't have the money to buy you an expensive new suit for just one day." This sets Magna off again, and he starts raging against the Judel family. They fired you and didn't even give you your severance pay. In another scene, Eric confronts Ran, asking, "Why did you change Magna's grades? I gave him a C, but you changed it to an A+." Ran admits she did it, claiming he's under a lot of mental stress, though it's clearly out of fear. Later, in her English class, she announces a new project and says, "Today, I've decided to create the groups myself. The first group will be Saxa and Magna." This was the opportunity Saxa was waiting for. She sits down with Magna outside and starts trying to poison his mind against Signy. Signy is just a normal girl, a human. What will happen if you stay with her? She'll get old. She then mentions the hammer in his bag, noting that his entire family is terrified of it, but she isn't. Just then, Signy walks up and Saxa coolly dismisses her. She continues her manipulation. "In 60 years, Signy will be an old woman, but we won't be. We're immortal. You should be thinking about me, not some normal girl. And as for your hammer, I'm not afraid of it because you would never hurt me." Magna then complains about how broke he is, saying he doesn't even have a decent coat for his own mother's wedding. Saxa sees her chance. She pulls out a credit card from her company and gives it to him. Magna is confused but seems to accept it, perhaps viewing it as compensation for his mom's lost salary. Just then, Signy arrives. Saxa whispers in Magna's ear, "Get her something nice too," and leaves. Magna then turns to Signy and says, "Come on, we were going to go out and do some shopping, right?" He takes Signy to a high-end designer store, but she's clearly not interested. The shopkeeper, sensing Magna can't afford anything, asks how he plans to pay. Magna arrogantly replies, "How I pay is none of your business. Here's the card." The shopkeeper sees the name is Saxa Judel on a corporate card and explains that he has to call to confirm the purchase. Hearing this, Signy gets furious, upset that Magna is using a card from Saxa. The call goes directly to Fior, who asks Magna, "What did you do to Saxa?" Magna retorts, "She gave me the card as compensation for firing my mom. If you want, we can discuss this face-to-face." This terrifies Fior, who quickly says, No, that's fine. I'll talk to the manager." So Magna gets the clothes for free. Signy, however, is disgusted and tells Magna she doesn't want any of it. Magna explodes at her. "First you were jealous of Saxa, and now you have a problem with me buying you clothes. What do you want from me?" Devastated, Signy leaves him for good. Later, as Fior is leaving the office, he runs into his assistant, the one he's been tormenting. He offers her a ride home, saying, "Let me help you. I yelled at you, and I need to apologize." The poor woman silently gets into the car, and it's clear Fior has sinister intentions. Now that Magna has officially broken up with Signy, he calls Saxa and asks her to meet him at a small restaurant. She happily agrees. She tells him they should start their relationship, saying, "You need to realize how good we are together. You're a god, and look at me, I'm a giant. We're both immortal." Voton was also at the restaurant and saw the whole thing. He knows this is a very bad development and rushes to Magna's house to warn him. But when Magna gets home, he's furious at Voton for being there. He threatens him with the hammer, acting like a tyrant. "How dare you enter my house? I am the king of the world. I am the most powerful. Get out of my house and stay out of my business from now on." Voton, the All-Father, has no choice but to back down and leave. Later that night, Magna goes to Saxa's house. The day of Turid's wedding arrives. Eric is waiting at the altar, and almost everyone from the town is there. They're running late, and the one person who hasn't shown up is Magna. Lorett is already there. His mom enters and asks, "Should I just come in by myself?" Lorett rushes to her and says, "Wait, I'll do it." He then proudly walks his mom down the aisle. As the vows begin, Magna finally makes his entrance, walking hand in hand with Saxa. It's a public announcement to the entire town. Magna is now with Saxa. Everyone stares at them. Magna clearly wants to rub it in Signy's face, who is sitting there, heartbroken and confused, wondering why Magna is doing all of this. The next morning, Magna wakes up with Saxa beside him. After showing up at his mom's wedding together, they are now officially a couple. However, Fior's plan for Saxa to steal Magna's hammer has completely backfired. When she comes downstairs, Fior and Ran are waiting, expecting her to have the weapon. Instead, Saxa drops a bombshell on them. She tells them she has had a change of heart and is starting to genuinely like Magna. She tells them, if I have the most powerful being in the universe by my side, who also has the most powerful weapon in existence, what do I have to be afraid of? You guys? I don't think so. He's staying with me for my safety now. With this, Saxa has essentially abandoned the giants and joined Magna's side for her own protection and power. Magna then comes downstairs, holding his hammer as always, and Saxa offers him some breakfast. Meanwhile, we see the newlyweds, Turid and Eric, getting ready to leave for their honeymoon. We also see that Lorett has a new boyfriend, and they are happily hanging out together at home. Their quiet moment is interrupted when Signy arrives to congratulate Turid. She asks where Magna is, and when Turid says he's out, Signy replies, yeah, I have a pretty good idea where he is. It's fine. I just came to get some of my stuff from upstairs. While Signy is gathering her books, Turid finds her and asks what's wrong. At that moment, Signy breaks down in tears, unable to understand what she did so wrong for Magna to just abandon her so cruelly. Turid comforts her, saying, don't cry, I'll try to talk to him, but Signy leaves, completely heartbroken. We then see Magna casually eating breakfast with the giants. Fior and Ran can only glare at him, powerless to do anything about the situation. Turid arrives before her trip, telling Magna she needs to speak with him. In a shocking display of disrespect, Magna physically shoves his own mother out of the house before grabbing his hammer and finally agreeing to talk. Turid confronts him about his recent behavior. She says, you're acting so strange. I don't have a problem with you changing relationships, but why are you treating Signy so horribly? Your entire attitude has changed. You carry that hammer everywhere. Have you started doing drugs? Magna, who is completely high on the hammer's power, shoves it in his mom's face. He snaps, you always assume that, reminding her of when she accused him of being on drugs after he killed Vidar's dog. You're doing it again. Do I look like I'm on drugs? Turid shoots back, just look at how you're behaving. You're even talking to me this way. But Magna just screams horrible, cruel things at her and tells her to leave and mind her own business. Left speechless, Turid walks away. Next, we see Lorett spending time with his boyfriend at a restaurant. When his boyfriend has to leave for work, they share an affectionate kiss, which causes some other customers to get up and leave in discomfort. The owner comes over and awkwardly tells Lorett, it's so great that you two found each other. It can be so hard for you to find love. Confused, Lorett asks what he means by that. The owner stammers, oh, nothing. I just mean it's wonderful that you're both bisexual and you found one another. He then brings out a huge bag of food for Lorett, clearly trying to bribe him to stay away. Lorett calls him out on it. So you're giving me food for my charity project just so I'll stay away from your restaurant and not scare off your customers? The owner can't deny it and just hands over a bunch of bread. Ran goes back to the same therapist, who we now learn is also a teacher at their school. This time, she reveals a lot more. She finally names the student who's been threatening her, Magna. She complains that he's now living with her daughter, Saxa, and that Saxa has abandoned their family for him. She also admits to the therapist that they had previously kept Saxa as a slave. The therapist is shocked. He says, first of all, you enslaved your own daughter, which is completely against the Constitution. And if this boy loves her and is taking care of her, isn't that a good thing? But from her perspective as a giant, Ran insists that it is absolutely not a good thing. After this, we see Magna and Saxa living a life of luxury, even taking a helicopter to go shopping. Meanwhile, Iman has used her powers to become a full-blown celebrity. She's back in her hometown giving interviews with the whole city gathered behind her. While vlogging about her hometown, she spots Voton, who tells her she's wasting her godlike powers just to become famous. Iman argues that since Magna has gone off to do his own thing, everyone else is just going their own way. Voton then reminds Iman of her true abilities, saying, you have the power to see the future. Use it. Find out what Magna is planning. Iman isn't interested and starts to leave. Voton taunts her, I knew you wouldn't do it. You're afraid of what you might see about your own future. This hits a nerve. Iman says, I'm not afraid of anything, and she snatches the pouch of magic herbs from him to perform the ritual herself. Next, we see Lorett by the water with the bags of bread, calling out for his Midgard serpent, but today, the snake doesn't appear. An old couple walks by and scolds him for polluting the water. The scene shifts to Magna's classroom, where a debate about history deeply affects Signy. When the topic of speaking up against wrong things comes up, she stands and says, yes, Judel Industries polluted the water and everyone got sick. People only started speaking up when their own lives were on the line. The teacher then asks Magna for his opinion. Magna, now looking rich in his new designer clothes and sitting with Saxa, can't exactly speak out against the Judels. He says weakly, they've changed their purifiers, which leads to a heated argument between him and Signy. As they are leaving, Magna asks Saxa for a minute and goes to talk to Signy, but she tells him, "It's too late. I needed a little time from you, but you ended the entire relationship. There's nothing left for us to talk about." Magna seems to feel a bit of guilt, but he's so controlled by the hammer's power that he just lets her walk away. We then see Iman in an abandoned building. She performs a ritual using the tools from the pouch. As she breathes in the smoke, she's hit with terrifying visions of the future. A massive, brutal war between the gods and the giants. She sees Voton on the brink of death, Magna fighting ferociously, and Iman herself being choked to death. She sees that all of them are going to die in the battle. Horrified by what she's seen, Iman quickly leaves. The scene shifts back to the Judel home. Saxa and Magna arrive, and Saxa tells Fior and Ran she needs to talk to them. While Magna goes upstairs, she sits Fior down and says, "Now that I have power, I think I should work at the company again." With Magna on her side, a guy who could kill them at any moment, Fior is too scared to say no. Later, Iman finds Voton and gives him back the pouch, telling him only, "Take care of yourself and look after Magna too." Voton realizes that she must have seen a terrible future. Furious after his confrontation at home, Fior spots the old couple who had yelled at Lorett. Just as he did with his assistant, he approaches them, and the scene makes it clear that Fior killed them and fed their bodies to the serpent. His new assistant arrives at the office, and the police come to question him about his missing former assistant. Fior plays dumb, and after they leave, he sits in his office with a creepy smile, enjoying the fact that he got away with murder. Later, Lorett goes to see his serpent, his baby, whom he has named Little O. He calls out to his child, but the serpent refuses to come and won't eat the vegetarian food he brought. It seems it has developed a taste for humans. As Lorett yells, "What is your problem? Why won't you listen to me?" A human foot suddenly flies out of the water and lands right in front of him. He is horrified, finally understanding that his child has killed a person. Back at the mansion, Fior is plotting a way to separate Magna from his hammer. He provokes Magna by challenging him to a speedboat race. He boasts, "I have speedboats with 3,000 horsepower." Fior's teasing works, and Magna, full of pride, accepts the challenge. As this is happening, Lorett, who is an absolute wreck after what he saw, is pulled aside by Ran at school, who takes him back to her house. Meanwhile, Fior and Magna are in the middle of the water on their boats. Fior says, "All right, hold on tight. This boat is fast." They take off at full speed, but Fior had set a trap. He had already sabotaged Magna's boat. Fior speeds ahead while Magna's boat dies, leaving him stranded in the middle of the fjord where no one can hear him scream. Back at the house, Ran is holding Lorett's prisoner. She says, "You're my stepson now after all. Want some wine?" Even though it's only 9:30 in the morning. Out on the water, Magna checks his phone, no signal. His shouts are useless. But then, Voton's crows spot him and fly off to report that he's in trouble. Magna opens a compartment on his boat, finds a fishing rod, and to pass the time, he starts fishing. Suddenly, his hook gets snagged on something. At the same time, Voton realizes he needs to see the future for himself and prepares to use the ritual pouch. Just as he's about to do it, a police officer spots him and arrests him. Back on the water, Magna is trying to reel in what he thinks is a fish, but he's accidentally hooked the serpent giant. The massive creature emerges from the depths right in front of him. Magna is stunned, wondering where something so huge could have come from. He takes out his hammer and hurls it at the serpent to kill it, but the serpent giant swallows the hammer. Magna desperately tries to call his hammer back, but it won't come. He's trapped inside the serpent. Magna is left screaming, powerless, because without his hammer, he's nothing. Meanwhile, Fior returns home, visibly happy. Earlier, he left Magna and his hammer underwater with the Midgard serpent, assuming the creature would destroy him. He tells Lorett what happened. Lorett, who's always been against turning his son, the Midgard serpent, into a killer, understands the situation immediately. He's heartbroken, believing his brother Magna is gone, and starts crying. Suddenly, someone opens the door, and Magna walks in, alive and well. Everyone's stunned. In the last episode, Voton had a hunch Magna was in danger, so someone must have saved him. Magna's carrying a heavy bag, and it's clear to everyone he's got his hammer inside. This scares everyone, including Lorett, who thinks, "I'm not needed here anymore. I should leave." Magna confronted Fior, demanding to know why he had been left behind. Fior acted like he didn't know anything about it. He said he had gone back with help, but Magna was already gone, and asked what else he could have done. Magna explained that his boat had broken down, and he was calling for help when someone came just in time to save him. After that, Magna went to his room. Meanwhile, Ran confronted Fior, clearly losing her patience. She angrily asked what he had done and if he really thought he could trust the serpent. She scolded him for doing nothing and asked how long he planned to just sit around. Before Fior could answer, Ran's anger took over, and she slapped him hard across the face. In his room, Magna goes to the bathroom and opens his bag. Instead of his hammer, he finds rocks. When he threw Mjolnir at the Midgard serpent, it got stuck in the creature's stomach and didn't come back. Elsewhere, Lorett hurries to the water to talk to his son, the Midgard serpent, serpent called Little O. 3 kids show up, wandering around. Lorett warns them, the water has chemicals. You'll get sick. Leave. He's worried his serpent might start eating humans. Magna, stressed about his missing hammer, is interrupted by Saxa, who tells him he has been in there for an hour. Magna wets himself down quickly, rushes out and says, I've got some work to do. Lorett's boyfriend prepares food for him, but Lorett is too upset to eat. When his boyfriend urges him to open up, Lorett simply apologizes and says he can't tell him anything. Magna visits people who recover items from water, explaining he lost his hammer in the river. They inform him that the river's too deep and retrieving anything from there would require expensive equipment he can't afford. The scene shifts to a school. Lorett enters with Signy and Magna arrives with Saxa. After Signy leaves, Magna sends Saxa away to talk to Lorett alone. Lorett asks what Magna saw in the water, but Magna pushes back, demanding Lorett to tell him what's down there. Lorett admits, it's my son, Little O. Magna snaps, are you crazy? That thing's a dangerous serpent now. It almost killed me. Lorett insists it won't hurt him, but Magna doesn't believe it and leaves, leaving Lorett shaken and worried that his brother might be in real danger. At the police station, Voton and a kid are being accused of smoking drugs and threatened with blood tests. Voton calmly explains that they were doing something important, seeing the future. The cops remind him about his earlier arrest for breaking into Judel Industries. The kid argues they have no proof and threatens to sue them for detaining them without food, water, or a lawyer. Startled, the officer leaves. Voton then tells the kid he's part of something big. Back with Magna, he reluctantly introduces Saxa as his new partner to his company. Saxa explains her plan, but Fior refuses to cooperate and walks out despite her warning. Meanwhile, Lorett plans to make food for Little O, hoping to stop him from eating humans. During a video call with his mom, Fior bursts in, furious. What's your serpent doing? Will it even listen? He demands. Lorett replies, you're teaching it bad things. Fior grabs Lorett by the throat, threatening that if the serpent doesn't eat Magna, he'll go after Lorett's boyfriend. Terrified, Lorett unlocks his phone. Fior realizes Lorett cares more about his new boyfriend than Magna, and warns him again before leaving. Magna researches how to retrieve items from deep water when Saxa shows up, inviting him to a party. He refuses, saying he's busy, but she reminds him that he lives with her now and that she expects him to come as her security. Reluctantly, he agrees. Lorett is chopping onions, tears in his eyes, when his boyfriend arrives and urges him to talk. Lorett finally confesses, I'm stuck between gods and giants. My son, the Midgard serpent, is eating humans. If I don't stop him, he'll kill Magna or Fior will kill you. His boyfriend, thinking Lorett has lost his mind, stares at him in disbelief. Magna, still down without his hammer, worries that others might find out. A recovery company calls, but says the item is too small to locate in such deep water. Lorett brings his boyfriend to meet Little O to prove he's not crazy. His boyfriend laughs it off, thinking Lorett needs a doctor, until the Midgard serpent appears behind Lorett. Shocked, the boyfriend finally realizes Lorett has been telling the truth. Lorett scolds his son, telling him to stop eating humans and only eat what he gives him. To prove obedience, the serpent spits out Magna's hammer. Lorett stares in disbelief, wondering why it's there. Back home, Magna feels trapped in Jotunheim, restless and uneasy. Lorett's boyfriend, now understanding Magna is truly a god, drinks beer to calm himself. Lorett visits Fior to make a deal. He wants peace for Magna, his boyfriend, and his serpent. Fior asks what he's offering, and Lorett reveals Magna's hammer. Thrilled, Fior believes he finally holds the upper hand. Magna storms into Lorett's house, furious. You traitor, why'd you give him my hammer? Lorett's boyfriend intervenes, saying they all need to talk. Magna gathers Voton, Iman, Harry, Lorett, and his boyfriend. Fior, armed with the hammer, has all the power. When Saxa arrives, Fior taunts her, you switched sides first. Saxa fires back, you were shaking when Magna faced you. Fior shows her the hammer, and terrified, Saxa quickly leaves. Iman and Harry later learn Voton called them to meet Magna. Everyone's present, but no one trusts Lorett. Magna accuses him of constant betrayal, but Voton defends Lorett, saying he's their key to victory. Hurt, Lorett starts to leave, but Voton stops him, telling him he can lead them to success. Ran visits Fior, who brags about having Magna's hammer and the power it brings. He vows to strike when their enemies least expect it. Ran asks about Saxa, and he admits to banishing her but insists he didn't kill her. Lorett, drawing on divine knowledge, confronts Fior at his home. Despite Fior wielding the hammer, Lorett stands calm, reminding him that the hammer only obeys Thor. When Fior tries to use it on him, it falls to the ground. Realizing the truth, Fior panics. Lorett tells him to send the hammer back to the eternal fire to be destroyed, and Fior reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, Magna and the gods plan their next move. Magna warns Lorett not to betray them again. Saxa watches their house from afar. Ran questions Fior's plan, and he explains that they'll destroy the hammer so Magna can never reclaim it. When Lorett arrives, They give him new clothes and take his phone, supposedly as a precaution. Harry is stationed at Jotunheim, Iman's on the road, and everyone's in position. Saxa and Harry spot a car driving out. Iman blocks it, but Lorett steps out instead of Fior. Magna, thinking he's been betrayed again, yells, "You betrayed us again!" Lorett insists they discovered his double play. As Fior and Ran emerge, Saxa grabs the hammer and runs. Fior orders Ran to stop her. Ran, unable to harm her daughter, misses her shot and accidentally hits a kid. By the time Magna arrives, Fior and Ran have fled, and the hammer is gone. Everyone regroups, and Lorett feels crushed by guilt. Saxa, trying to escape with the hammer, gets ambushed by Voton, who knocks her out and retrieves it. When the group reunites, Voton hands the hammer back to Magna. Overjoyed, Magna kisses it and says, "I'll never let you go." The gods protest, reminding him they all work to get it back, but Magna ignores them and walks away, selfish as ever, just like Thor in his prime. Realizing how dangerously obsessed Magna has become with Mjolnir, Voton decides he has to find a way to see the future. He is so lost in the hammer's power that the weapon has basically taken control of him, causing Magna to forget who he really is. Voton does the ritual and finds out his worst fear is true. Magna is in a very bad situation, completely trapped by pride and can't get himself out. Voton knows he is the one who must step in. Following the vision, Voton starts acting strangely and is cared for by Lorett's boyfriend and the other young man who has been helping him. For their strong loyalty, Voton has now given them the powers of gods. The scene then moves to Fior. Knowing that Ragnarok, the Great War, is close, he skips his office work to sharpen old weapons, knowing that if Thor and his friends attack, they could all die. Ran enters and makes fun of him, saying he's just like his father, Vidar, always running, always scared. She reminds him, "We are immortal. We can't die." Next, we see Lorett at school where Ran comes to him. She tries to make peace, suggesting they solve things through understanding and end this war before anyone dies. However, Lorett isn't interested in peace. He tells her, "The war is happening. We gods can attack you at any moment, so you better save yourselves while you can." Scared and upset, Ran goes straight to her therapist. She breaks down, hugs him, and tells him everything, her fear that Magna and the other gods are going to attack and kill her. The scene then moves to Magna's house, where the other gods are slowly coming together. Lorett, Iman, and Harry are already there when Voton arrives with the two newly powered young men. Voton explains that they have now been given the powers of gods. One is Heimdall, the guardian of all. The other, Lorett's boyfriend, has been given the powers of Baldur, the god whose death in stories started the first Ragnarok. Hearing this, Lorett reacts with shock. He argues, "No, that can't happen. Baldur was killed by an arrow, and his death started the war. I can't let my boyfriend die like that." But Voton explains that those are old stories. Just because it happened long ago doesn't mean it has to happen to them now. Just then, Magna arrives and the meeting begins. He takes full control, not even letting Voton speak. He says, "I'm here now, so I'll talk first." He tells everyone that since they have the most powerful weapon in the world, their win is guaranteed, so there's nothing left to discuss. Iman and Harry are very angry. They turn to Voton and demand, "What's wrong with this guy? Why did you even call us here? If he's so full of himself, let him fight alone. Why should we help him?" The other gods agree and start to leave. Voton says they can't leave Magna, but Magna still doesn't see how proud he has become. All he sees is his own power. He's completely forgotten what it means to be human. Voton has to pull Magna away, telling him, "I need to talk to you. I still have things to teach you. You are not ready for war." He leaves Heimdall to stand guard, ordering that no one leave the house. He warns, "As soon as you step outside, the giants will attack you." We then see Fior, whose secretary has come to his house with some papers. Fior seems to want to talk to her, maybe to open up a bit, but he still doesn't have the courage. Voton takes Magna deep into a thick forest, to the very spot where the old gods were worshipped long ago. He tries to make Magna understand that he has a life beyond the hammer, that Thor was known for many things, not just his power or his weapon. The message slowly starts to make sense to him, but Magna, still defiant, starts to walk away. He doesn't get far before Saxa appears. At first, she tries to convince him that she's with him for who he is, not for his hammer. But Magna knows she's lying and that she's only with him for the power. As a giant, she is his enemy in the coming war. He tells her she needs to leave. Magna could have killed her right then and there, but he just pushes her away. That's when Saxa shows her true side. She pulls out an old weapon and is about to strike him from behind when Magna turns around. He finally understands that Saxa is a complete liar who would have attacked him at any moment. He raises his hammer, and Saxa, scared, turns and runs. It's only now that Magna starts to realize that no one is truly on his side just for him. He's finally ready to listen to what Voton has to say. Later, we see Lorett getting ready to take food to his serpent. serpent, little O. But his boyfriend stops him, saying, "You can't go. Today is too dangerous. The giants are waiting for us. If they find you alone, they'll kill you." Voton then starts the future-seeing ritual again. He tells Magna, "Now you must see for yourself what your future could be." Magna is scared, but at Voton's urging, he sits down. Magna then sees visions of Ragnarok unfold, battles and chaos everywhere. Voton wanted to show him what he's truly afraid of. It isn't the giants or death. What Magna really fears is his old self, the boy with dyslexia who couldn't speak up, the boy everyone thought was weak. He's haunted by Isolde's death and by how he hurt Signy. Voton explains that holding on to these old wounds won't help. He says, "If you want to prove yourself, you have to become a better person. This hammer won't always be there for you. You need to move past it. You are more than this weapon. The hammer needs you, not the other way around." Finally, the understanding dawns on Magna. He understands that he can't be fighting with his own teammates and is now really ready for the coming war. We then see Fior, who has returned to his office. His assistant tells him that Saxa is already inside. Fior finds her ready to talk about running the company, but he knows she caused this mess. If she had just hidden the hammer or given it to him, this war might have been avoided. That night, Lorett can hear the cries of his child, little O, who is starving. He feels a strong urge to go feed him, but Heimdall is now on guard duty, so Lorett must stay in his room. Meanwhile, the giants have gathered their weapons. Saxa has told them that Magna and Voton are alone in the forest, meaning the other gods are weak. Their plan is to separate the gods to make them easier to kill. They are on their way to Magna's house, but just as they reach the door, Magna and Voton appear. Magna says, "If you want to fight, then Ragnarok will happen the way it was meant to. Attacking from behind will get you nowhere. They have just officially started the war." Magna and Voton return to their house and call another meeting. Magna says sorry to everyone. He even tells Lorett, "I'm sorry. I was completely wrong about you. I wasn't in control of myself. It was the hammer. From now on, I will listen to you, and we will do this together as a team." Iman, still angry, tells him, "If you ever pull something like that again, I'll punch you in the face and walk out of here for good." Now, Lorett tries to convince them one last time. He asks, "Why are we even fighting this war? Can't we just talk things out and end this?" Voton puts the final choice on Magna. Magna knows that if the giants aren't stopped, Edda will keep suffering. He declares, "We only have one option, and that's war." No one says no. They are all ready. Knowing anything could happen, Magna goes to see Signy. He says sorry, but Signy doesn't believe he's changed. He tells her, "Something has been really wrong with me lately." At the same time, Lorett goes to say goodbye to his child, the huge Midgard serpent. He tells him, "This place has become too small for you. You need to go out into the open waters. Go to the great ocean. You're my child. I love you so much." As Lorett returns, the gods are all ready for Ragnarok. On the other side, the three giants stand together. Fior is scared, sure he can't win. But Saxa holds her old weapon, ready to fight, knowing that as giants, they can't give up. Fior had already lost hope, but Saxa runs forward, her eyes changing as she charges at full speed. Just as she's about to attack, Magna stops her. He speaks to her and the other giants. "Look, there are more of us. We have the most powerful weapon in the world. You will be killed, and there's no point in you dying. In today's world, we can come to an agreement. We can end Ragnarok right here, right now. And to prove it, I'm putting down my hammer." Right there, Magna dropped Mjolnir. In that moment, Saxa lowered her weapon. Fior and Ran understood that fighting wasn't needed. The Ragnarok that was supposed to happen didn't. The giants and the gods decided to live in peace. This completely changed the power balance. Fior signed over half the company to Saxa, making her an equal partner. The gods throw a big party, joined by their mom and stepdad. Magna sends one last text to Signy, "Can you forgive me?" But though the war was stopped, a new problem was beginning. The arrow that Ran had shot earlier had hit a young boy in the eye. He tells the doctor, "This arrow can fly. It has power. I need to make it fly." After some time, things seem to have returned to normal. Voton is having a detox drink with his friend Heimdall. They used to drink a lot and were in a rehab center, which is why they're on detox drinks now. His divine crows, who know many secrets, are always nearby. Magna is back to focusing on his studies. Since Ragnarok was averted and his role as Thor is seemingly over, he needs to think about his career. Iman and Harry are moving on with their own lives. Harry has been asked to train a group of disabled people, which includes the boy who was hit by the arrow. Fior has moved on with his life and is now with his secretary. Saxa is now actively participating in company meetings. The Judel industries have also significantly reduced the pollution in Edda. Rand tells her therapist that things have normalized. She's not as stressed as she used to be, and the threat of attack is gone. Her family is reunited. The therapist starts to think Rand might have feelings for him and asks her if she likes someone. Rand Ran denies it, realizing he's asking about himself. She makes it clear she is not interested in him. The therapist awkwardly changes the subject and asks for a good rating. We then see Lorett and his boyfriend happily sitting by the water, ready to start their new life. Their child, the Midgard serpent, is believed to have gone to the great ocean, but Magna is still haunted by the past. Isolde is dead, and he feels like he never truly got justice. The giants and gods just made peace. Turid is living happily with Eric. Magna is about to leave for his final exam, feeling depressed and just hoping it goes well. During his oral exam, he's asked about the history of Edda and its pollution problems. Magna gives some strange, off-topic answers, but when he leaves the room, he finds out he got a C. He passed. We see the students at their graduation ceremony. Even though they're all grown up with beards and mustaches, they're technically graduating high school and heading to college. Magna sees Signy and learns that the article she wrote was published in the newspaper and became a huge hit. That evening, Magna's whole family is having dinner together and everyone is happy. Turid stands up and gives a speech. She's thrilled for Lorett, who has found a loving partner. Then she talks about Magna. She says maybe she never should have brought him to this town because of his learning disability. So many bad things happened to him here. He got lost in a world of superheroes, was falsely accused, had to drop out of school for a year. Magna starts to remember everything he's been through. But Turid is happy now that he's finally normal, ready to live a new life, and that their family is together and happy. Lorett is packing to move in with his boyfriend. Magna is cleaning his room and finds a box of Thor comics that tell the whole story of Ragnarok. Turid tells him to throw them out, but Lorett and Magna both say they want to read them one last time. Lorett leaves to get ready for the ceremony, and Magna picks up the first comic, the one showing the day Wunche first put her hand on his head and awakened his powers. Lorett comes out, dressed in a flashy, colorful outfit. Magna has to get ready too, and his mom brings him his father's old, torn suit. This time, he agrees to wear it. At the graduation ceremony, Magna runs into Signy. He asks if she got his message. She says yes, but she's not ready yet and needs more time. They all go inside and sit down for the ceremony. And this is where Magna's mind begins to unravel. He's flooded with visions of the past, of everything that led up to the brink of Ragnarok. As Ran gives her speech, Magna's mind is elsewhere. He sees the boy who was hit by the arrow practicing archery with Harry. The boy chooses a bow and arrow, and as he takes aim, he flinches. Magna is suddenly consumed by the what-if scenario. What if the arrow had hit Lorett's boyfriend, turning Lorett into a full-blown giant who would attack the other giants, who would then attack the gods, and the war would start? His mind flashes to a full-scale Ragnarok battlefield. He sees Saxa about to receive an award, but in his vision, she's fighting. He sees Harry, the god of war, killed. He sees himself holding his hammer with Iman by his side. Iman takes an arrow for him, shot by Ran. Dying, she tells him to go kill the giant. He sees Fior and Saxa, who are sitting together at the ceremony, but in his mind, they are on the battlefield. Fior, with his axe, killed Iman, and now Magna has to kill him. Magna sees the stories from his comics playing out in his mind. Fior charges, and Magna throws his hammer, which returns and splits Fior's head open. Next is Ran. In his mind, she shoots an arrow that hits Voton, who stumbles in the present moment. The two realities are running parallel in Magna's mind, the peaceful ceremony and the brutal war. One by one, the gods and giants are dying. Vidar appears. In the end, only Loki Lorett is left. Magna remembers everyone he's lost, Isolde, his fellow gods. Even in the present, he sees everyone around him as dead. His final enemy appears, Lorett's child, Little O, the Midgard serpent. And it's Lorett who gives the order, go kill Magna. But Magna has his hammer. He throws it with all his might, and it strikes the serpent in the mouth. The hammer is so powerful that it tears the creature apart. But as the giant serpent falls, one of its fangs pierces Magna in the back, ripping through his flesh. At that same moment, the real-world ceremony ends. Magna has been completely zoned out this entire time. Signy comes over to him. Just as Magna wanted her back in his life, she's here now, telling him, you need to move on from that situation. You have to take a step forward. Magna, feeling the phantom pain of the serpent's tooth, knows he has to move on. Signy is calling to him, you have to forget your old life, you have to mature. We'll forget everything that happened and move forward. Magna slowly, painfully takes a step forward. Signy says, you don't need to fall at my feet and beg for forgiveness. I forgive you. In the world of Ragnarok, Magna, mortally wounded, collapses to the ground and dies. But in the real world, Signy catches him. He is with her, safe and sound. The battle in his mind, the war where he was Thor, is finally over. Magna has finally let go of Ragnarok. We see him throwing all his comic books into the dustbin. He looks out at the Judel house and sees the giants acting completely normal. He goes out and finds all his friends together, Signy, Lorett, his boyfriend, Saxa, Fior, and his girlfriend, all just hanging out. He even sees a vision of Isolde, smiling, happy that everything is finally sorted out. Hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment and let me know, and hype up the video to show your support.